Hello everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you for joining me for another card making video here on my YouTube channel. Today I'm starting off with a piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I am laying this down onto my Tim Holtz craft mat, and I'm just now lightly blending on some Distress ink in Evergreen Bough. I've used a really light hand here. It's a really light layer of ink, and this piece of card is cut to just slightly larger than 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. So I'm bringing in the Mama Elephant Square Grid Creative Cuts die there, and I just run that through my die cut machine, and I've just pulled in 8 of the squares here, and I've used some post-it note tape. And I've just created some rough hills. These are going to give the effect of snowdrifts. And I'm just laying them over. I'm using this post-it tape as a kind of mask. And I will actually do this to these 8 squares here, but also on 2 of the others. You'll get 12 little squares in total. 2 will be just plain, and 12 will have these little snowdrifts on. I've just shown 8 here. So now I'm taking this Hero Arts Ombre ink pad here in Pool to Navy, and I'm just using the navy shade. That's the darkest shade there on the far right. I've got a little ink blending brush here, and I'm just roughly, and I mean really roughly, adding ink to the top portions of that exposed cardstock there. This is going to give the effect of a little scene in each individual square, and this top part will be the sky, and it's just to give a little bit of variation to what's going to be my snowbanks. So I'm just bringing in that top part, that grid, and just again lightly adding on some more of that navy ink. Ideally I should have used a bigger brush. This took me longer than it needed to, but it was the only clean brush I had. So I've just sped that up to make that go a little bit faster. So it's a really light layer of ink. Now I did remove my masks off camera, and here you can see the 8 squares and also the 2 little extra ones that I made. And I'm just watering down my wet paint from my Ganzo Tambi palette and just splattering on some white paint all over those 10 squares to give the effect of snow, and then set them aside to dry. And now I'm moving on to colouring my penguins. So these are the little penguin agenda stamps from Mama Elephant, and I'm using this colour combination which I'm really enjoying at the moment. It's BG 78, 75 and 72. So here I am. I've kept quite a few of colouring of the penguins in. I've sped the video up so that you don't have to sit there watch me colour for an hour, but I'm just using that darkest colour at sort of the base of their wings, and then just lightening as I go to the top of their heads. I start with the darkest, move to the lightest, and then just repeat the process. Got a couple of pinks here, the RV34 and 32. For the party hat and balloon, and a couple of the other accents like the hats and the heart on the envelope. I did turn my camera off after a while and just went ahead and coloured all of the penguins in the set, but I'm just showing you a few of the penguins here. Please feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to watch. Some greens there for the wreath, and a Y26 for the star on top of the hat. And to give some shading to the actual body or tummies and face of the penguins, I just go around the edge with some cool greys, blend it out with the blender pen, and just add a little bit of pink with RV52 for the cheeks, some yellows and YRs for the feet and beaks. And for this particular penguin, he's got some little antlers, and I just used some E70s for that. So really simple colouring. I think you can colour these penguins any way you'd like. I've done lots of different combinations, which I have yet to share, but keep an eye out. I will be sharing some other colour combinations for these penguins very soon on my Instagram. Now I've just got a piece of copy paper here and I'm using some liquid adhesive just to secure down this grid. And just don't forget to put new or liquid adhesive or tape runner along all parts of the grid, otherwise the middle bit tends to pop up, and that personally really annoys me. So make sure you apply plenty of adhesive. And now I've popped adhesive into the middle of the squares, and I can pop my pieces into those areas, securing them down. I do realise I'm out of frame here in a moment. I do apologise. Just move my card up. And these little squares are all dry now, so those little snowflakes I use by flicking on the paint are all dry. And here I just bring in the 2 plain pieces. So these didn't have snowdrifts on. I just popped a little bit of that navy ink without any masks, because we're going to be covering that section up. So just making sure all my little squares are secured down. I don't want any of the corners popping up. And my card is starting to come together. This is the Oh So Merry die, which comes out of the Penguins Waddle die set. And I've cut that out of some glitter card in gold. And now I did spend quite a bit of time arranging all my penguins. I did go ahead and cut them out using the coordinating dies off camera. But now I spent a little bit of time playing around, getting them all into the position I was happy with. And now I can start adhering all my elements together. So applying plenty of glue to that die cut. I find making sure getting glue on all of the ends so that the letters don't curl up at the edges, quite helpful. So I do always apply plenty of glue. And now I'm just securing my penguins down directly to the card base, or this card scene. No foam tape on this particular card. So I just go around securing all of those down. And now I am going ahead and applying very, very tiny dots of glue. I'm just going to take some very small gold stars. These particular stars are out of a sequin mix. I'm not sure it's available now, but I'm sure there are lots of products with gold stars. This particular one is from called Rose Gold, and from Lucy's Little Things, from Lucy's Cards. And I just picked out the gold stars that I wanted, but I'm sure there are lots of other mixes that have these little gold stars in. So I went around all of those little windows, applying my little stars, adding some Wink of Stella to some of the little accents. So I've got the party hat here and the balloon. I'm adding it to this penguin's hat and the little wreath and bow, the little presents and ice lolly, my little fish bowl there, which is super cute. Again, the hat and the little lights that my penguin's holding, and onto these lovely little candy canes. So cute. I'm now just darkening up the eyes with a Jelly Roll black glaze pen, being quite careful not to add too much of that. Their eyes are really small. And I'm also going in here with some Nuvo crystal glaze, again just to accent these tiny little parts of the penguins, just to give a little bit more interest and make things pop off the card a little in the light. So I've got his berries there and the party hat, and that finishes up that. Now I'm just going to adhere everything to a A2 size card base, so plenty of liquid adhesive there. Bring back my card. I must say that I did leave this card to dry before pressing this down onto the card base, because obviously I've got that crystal glaze which would have been wet, so I did make sure that I left the card to dry before pressing everything down. And that is my card for today complete. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye bye.